Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Hello, welcome to Share
Hello.
the Love Sundays. If you're here, say hi. I see a couple of you here already. Thank you for coming, Eleanor. Thank you for coming, Dad.
Yes.
And we're here today with Dr. Severine Bryan. Hi, Dr. Severine.
Hello. I'm enjoying this, even though it just started.
We're enjoying it too.
Yeah, and we were just talking before we went live how beautiful Dr. Severine's background looks.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful lighting and
It's very tranquil, isn't
yeah,
it?
it is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Need to
Thank
work
you.
on that. Beautiful. Okay, well, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what your channel's all about?
Okay, so I am a financial coach and mostly a financial educator. And what that means is I try to educate people on personal finance, things such as debt management, which, how to structure your debt, how to pay it off fast, cash flow, how to manage your money so you can make the best use of it. Things like credit, how to improve your credit scores. Those are the basic things that I do on my channel. And I talk about anything from mindset and how that impacts how you handle money to the very practical things of how to pay down your debt. And I started my channel in May of 2020. And I really started it because my brother kept bugging me about starting my channel. He's like, you need to do a YouTube channel. So I just said, okay, fine. I eventually just started it.
Oh, good on your brother then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's about the same time we started.
Yeah,
April-ish.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think it's great because I don't know about schools in America, but in the UK, these things just aren't taught. And it's so important. And you leave school, you just don't know about these things. You have to find the information for yourself. So I think it's great that you're putting all of that out there. I really do.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and also I know you target women especially. Why do you think us women need extra help with financial matters?
Well, there's so many reasons. And one of them is that women tend to live longer than men. And in order for them to understand how to it's important that way, that it's important for them to learn how to manage their money. And with the divorce rate as high as it is, and with a lot of women working from home, it helps if they know what to do in the event of a divorce. Because if the man is outside, he's working, he's handling all the money, and she's inside, she's working also, taking care of the kids, taking care of the home, and they end up divorced. Now she's scrambling, learning how to balance the checkbook, how to make $100 go further. So it's best for her to learn right now. And then there's a pay gap. A woman is earning on average maybe 81 cents of every dollar a man earns for the same job. And so she is already at a disadvantage because even if she's in that workplace, she's earning less. And so she has to learn, and the expenses are the same. You're paying a mortgage, it's the same amount. If you're buying a car, it's the same cost. But then you have to make that 81 cents go as far as $1 that a man is making. So a woman has to really take control of her finances. I did a study for my doctorate. My study was on women who were borrowing money for business. And I found that in the study that women were very reluctant to go to traditional banks. They were reluctant to seek financing. And some of the reason is that they already disqualify themselves by thinking, I'll never get it. And as women, we tend to not put ourselves out there, even on the job market. A man will apply for a job with the qualifications. He has 1 out of 10. And a woman will try to get 10 out of 10 before she applies for a job. And maybe it's just the way we were brought up as women. And maybe it's just the historical thing of, the man is in charge and the woman is the little lady. And I'm not promoting women's lib or anything like that, because I really believe still the man is the head of the household and the woman is his helpmate. I really believe it's a partnership. But the traditional way of the man being in charge and the woman is, okay, what do you want me to do next? So I think that's maybe a little bit inbuilt. So we really need to understand finances in order to, as we get older and maybe we lose our spouse, maybe we go through a divorce, whatever it is, we need to have that knowledge so that we're not scrambling if something were to happen to our spouse and they were the one who was handling the money. And let me share this too. I've heard horror stories of women signing, tax returns without knowing what they're signing.
Yeah.
And then the man may have been in some kind of deal. He put her name on documents that she's not aware of, and she's just signing it blindly. And he has assets somewhere she doesn't even know, and they get divorced.
Yeah.
So there's so many things why it is very important for a woman to know about finances. You don't have to be aggressive and say, tell me what's going on with the money, but you need to understand a basic understanding of what it is that's coming into the house, how much your husband makes, where is the money going. You need to have a basic understanding of that.
It must be difficult though for some women, because some men are very controlling, and if he doesn't want to divulge any information to his spouse, it is difficult, isn't it? And as you say, until something happens and everything's rolling along okay, but that is very difficult, because some men are more secretive or more controlling and don't want, they're in charge. They want to know, they want to do the budgeting. They want to choose how the money is spent.
Yeah. And I think one of the things to do is really a counseling before you marry someone. Sometimes we're so in love that we just can't see anything beyond the love. And it's very important, even as we're thinking about getting married, to have to go to counseling and talk about these things, lay them out, what your expectations are. And really, as you're dating, you'll see things that will kind of point to how you are compatible financially. But again, we're in love, so we don't want to see those signs.
Yeah, I know. And you think, oh, it'll change when we're married. I'll change it. It's fine. Yeah.
Should we do a check-in with the chat? Because
Yes.
I see some people. Hello, Rog.
Hi, Rog.
Welcome. Wazelle Crows. I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm so sorry if that's wrong, but hello and welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for coming. Angela.
Hello,
Hi,
Angela.
Says, hi, ladies. I made it. Yay. We're glad you did. She says, I run the finances at our house. It's so important to know as a couple together where your money is going. Very important.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I know my husband's an accountant, and I told him before we got married, like, if you want to run the finances, like, I need to at least know what's going on. And that I laid that out flat. I was like, oh, it's not happening. I can't not know what's going on. It'll drive me crazy.
Yeah, and it's about freedom too, because you'll know what to spend and how to spend. If there's something out there that you might want to buy, you won't make it a priority if you know the funds are not there, because you have a big picture.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's really about freedom to know what choices to make and when and how.
Yeah. Well said.
You don't want to be checking in with your spouse every time you want to buy something.
Yeah, that can be annoying, and then you don't want to buy something that before you know it, you have a full blown out argument because there was no money there. Well, because you didn't know what was going on, you went and you bought something that you shouldn't have. And then there's another thing too. You want to check with your spouse on big ticket items. You have to decide, first of all, what is big ticket for your family? Maybe it's $200. And so anything under 200, okay, I can play with it. Anything over 200, hey honey, I'm seeing XYZ and I want to go ahead and get it. And it's $250, how is the budget or something like that, because that's the number you decided on. So you want to have some kind of number that you decide on is going to be our discussion number. Anything above that number is our discussion number, because it cuts down on the arguments and all of that. Because I can tell you with my ex, I was the one to handle the money, and he would do things, and I'm like, you can't do that. It's, it's time for a mortgage payment, and now I have to figure out where to pull that money from, because you did something, and I'm the one who scrambled because I'm the one managing the money. And so we have to put that burden on our spouse.
Because money can put a lot of pressure on a marriage, can't it? Or lack of money, or even, if you're okay, but you haven't had those discussions and you're not on the same page about where the spending needs to be, it can put so much strain on a marriage or a partnership.
For sure. I think it's one of the biggest things, isn't it? Finances.
I think it is one of the biggest reasons for divorce, isn't it, money?
It is.
Do you think it's kind of like the way we spend money and think of money? Do you think it comes from our parents? If you grew up with parents who were very keen on saving and budgeting and being careful with money, not getting into debt, you'd be probably more likely to be in the same be the same way. But if you grew up with, say, parents who were like building up credit card debt and buying expensive things when they couldn't afford it, so it's difficult then, isn't it? You've got to really change how you were brought up, possibly, in order to financially budget effectively.
Yes, I mean, it's the mindset around money is something that's developed from babies, from when we're very young. And I'm telling you, the advertising industry spend billions, and I'm saying that's billions with a B, okay, to target our kids between, up to age 13, billions of dollars every year. And so our kids, you driving on the street and your kids say, hey, I want to get McDonald's because on the TV, it said McDonald's, does this. So they grow up and they're seeing all their ads. They're seeing how money is spent in the house. It comes from family. It comes from our relationship with our peers. All money mindset comes from so many places. And it's funny because you can have a parent that is very frugal, and you have one child grow up to be very frugal, and one child grow up to be a spendthrift.
Yeah.
And it's all about how they see it, because the one who is a spendthrift may say, oh, you didn't allow us to get that thing that we wanted all the time, so now I have a little money, I'm going to get what I want. And so but in order to combat that and really to develop a good money mindset, the first thing we have to really do is evaluate, why do I handle money the way I do? Because every one of us have a money pattern or a money story in the way we look at money. When I think of money, I think freedom, but I didn't always think of it that way.
Right.
It's happened over years, so all of us have a pattern in how we handle money. So the first thing we have to do is say, what do I want to achieve in life? And that's a big picture. What do I want to achieve? Now, how am I handling money? Is it going to get me to where I want to go? And that's going to start the path to changing our mindset about money. And some of the things we can do is read books about money. Now, I'm not talking about books like, this is the way to budget, and you need to do this step and that step, because that tends to turn people off. You want to read books about money story, like books like The Richest Man in Babylon, which tells you like a story. It's giving you lessons, but it's telling you a story about money. Books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that's something that you want to give to any teenager in your life, because it's telling stories about what's happening between the two dad in Robert Kiyosaki's, I know I'm saying his name wrong, Kiyosaki's life, but it's telling, how the same situation was handled by the rich dad, and how the same situation, that situation was handled by the poor dad.
That's interesting.
So you get to see the juxtaposition of, how they handle things. And then you're picking up lessons through that. So it's not, you need to do step 1, you need to do step 2, because I don't like books like those.
No, they're boring, aren't they? know. Oh. Get to
It
step
doesn't
2 and you put
stick.
the book down. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you want something that tells your story and you're saying, why did he do that? And so when the story is told and the reasoning is given, you're thinking, if I'm in that position, I don't think I want to do that because I didn't like their outcome. You know, so books like, as I said before, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and The Richest Man in Babylon are good books to start with. They're not heavy in financial terms, and they're telling a story to lead us, to help us. Another thing I want to, you know, in terms of money mindset and how to really see, you know, what is my money mindset and how can I, you know, get to a place of freedom when I think about money, is think about your 80-year-old self, your 75-year-old self, your 90-year-old self. How do you want that person to live? You know, it's great to go on trips every year, every summer, every, you know, twice a year and all of that. And because you have the money. But is that going to help your 75 and 80-year-old self? That's a way to think about money. And then you want to surround yourself with people who are forward thinking in terms of how they handle money, not necessarily somebody who's going to be, no, you can't buy that because that coffee is expensive. Not that kind of, you know, rigidity. You know, somebody who is more conscious that you go to the store, you go shopping with them, and they'll say, you know what, I like that shoe, but I don't want to spend $50 on that. I think, you know, based on my budget, I want to maybe spend $30. So they're reasoning their money.
Yeah.
So you get into the habit of doing that. And then you want to listen to things like podcasts. You want to listen to maybe YouTube channels, things that talk about money. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. You know, just maybe somebody's talking about budgeting. Let's see if I can get a couple of points on budgeting. Maybe investing. Let me see. Maybe I can get a couple of points on investing. You just want to take it little by little, so you're not turned off by money.
I think you get overwhelmed with it all.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially if that's not your thing. And the last point I'll make on this is people think money is about, or managing money is about being good with math, and it's not. It's not being good with math. I always use this analogy. I say, if you go to college, you learn how to navigate that campus. When you go in the workplace, you learn how to navigate that new workplace. Well, it's the same with money. You just have to learn money. You just have to learn how to navigate money. And once you learn the basics, then you build on that and build on that and build on that. And before you know it, you know what you need to do to manage your life. You don't have to know the whole gamut of money landscape. You don't have to know the whole gamut of personal financial planning. You don't have to know the whole gamut. There are experts for that, but you need to know the basics. So when you go to them, they don't tell you stories or they don't pull the wool over your eyes. You need to know the basics, and it's not difficult to learn.
Oh, that's so encouraging.
Yeah,
and thank goodness you don't have to be good at math.
Yes. We're all relieved about that. There's lots of things going on in the chat, Dr. Severine.
Oh, hi, Flower, Eggs and Yeast.
Hi, guys.
They say, Cam and I dated for nearly 10 years before getting married. It's good to know the person you're marrying, including financial preferences. We split everything equally. Now we're going on 19 years together. Wow.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's
Very
definitely good to date someone at least long enough to know what they're like with money, isn't it? Because it is hugely important.
Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes you have a spender and a saver, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
The spender just have to learn how to understand the saver and their mindset, and the saver has to learn how the spender works. So you kind of balance yourself. Sometimes you want to go on the spending side, sometimes you want to go on the saving side. And it's all about your goal. You really need to set an overall goal and, you know, ask yourself every time you have to do something big, is this contributing to my overall goal? And eventually you get in the habit of doing that. Eventually you get in the habit of thinking, you know, I want to go on a vacation, but is this going to help based on my overall goal? And you get into that mindset eventually, and it becomes a part of your natural everyday thinking.
Yeah, I think having that big goal there is or like maybe not even one big goal, but like a few goals, and really knowing why you want them as well. Like me and my husband were talking about buying a house. We're still renting. And for a long time, that kind of goal didn't seem like a strong enough pull, you know, to get spending under control. We had to really like sit down and look at homes and think about, you know, how that was going to help us in the future, and really like round out our goal. Like, why do we want this? Are we just saying we want a house because everyone else wants a house? You know, do we just want a house because people are telling us we should buy a house? Why do we want to buy a house?
A very good question, and a good way to look at it, because house, it's not for everybody, and that's perfectly fine. And that's another thing too, is it annoys me when people say at 20 you're supposed to be here, and at 30 you're supposed to be here, and at 4. No, everybody's journey is different depending on what your goals are and what it is that you want to achieve in life. If you don't want to have kids, that's fine. Don't people need to stop putting people in boxes, whether it's finances or anything else. But let me get off my soapbox.
I'm just like cheering you on. I'm like, yes, I've been saying this. You're right. Let's see. Angela says, money can be the hardest part of a marriage. Agree, ladies. Definitely agree. It comes from your parents. My husband comes from a thrifty mom with no debt who saves her money. My parents are good with money, but didn't teach me anything. I had to learn by myself. Jeff taught me how to be thrifty. My kids are like that duck. 2 are good with money, and the youngest spends his money right away. Funny how siblings' attitudes can be so different, isn't it? With the same upbringing, your attitudes can be completely different.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for that, Angela. Debbie, hi Debbie. Hi. Hello from Canada.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Canada.
Oh, hi, Deb.
Hi. Thank you very much.
Yeah, she did say she was going to come join us.
Oh, thank you so much. It's lovely to see you. And Angela says, there were 11 people here. Please give the host a thumbs up. It really helps out. We could trouble you if you're here to give us a thumbs up. It really does help other people find this video, and it helps us get seen on YouTube. We really appreciate it. So thank you if you've hit like.
Yeah, and also if you haven't visited Dr. Severine Bryan's channel, please also give her a look. And
yes, there's a link in the description.
Yeah.
Angela says, Dr. Bryan always gives us wonderful advice. Love her channel and knowledge. Yes.
Is that Angela from Home and Garden?
Yes.
Okay.
Home and Garden. Sorry.
Yeah. She always leaves really nice comments on her channel.
Yes, Angela always leaves lovely comments.
It's very supportive,
and we appreciate it so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And Debbie says, big thumbs up. Good job. Thanks, Debbie. Oh, look, it's here. Stepsister Jenny. Hi, Jenny. Hello from Chicago. I couldn't agree more. It's all about what's best for you.
Yeah, it is. Yes. Thanks for joining, everybody. It's lovely that you come along on the chat. Please comment and ask Dr. Severine any questions you'd like about money. Okay, so what are the most important steps in good financial planning, would you say?
Well, I'll take a step back, and I'll say I am more a financial coach, financial educator, financial counselor. A financial planner is more someone who deals with tax and estate planning. And in terms of financial coaching, the first thing we have to decide is, really, what do you want? What do you want? What is it that you want to achieve, in your financial world? And then you have to look at, where are you right now? What is your current situation? And where do you need to go? As a coach, my job is to not tell you what you need to do, but give you the tools and give you the options. And then once you make your decision, because again, think about a coach, a football coach, he gives the players the plays, and the quarterback makes the decision as to which play he's going to play based on how the field is set up. And that's what a financial coach does. Gives you the tools, and then you go and execute. But then the coach is there at halftime to say, hey, okay, you did this, and here's why it didn't work. Looking at, the results, this is what you did. And the financial coach is the same way. So the first step you want to do to get a financial coaching and to be effective, to use the strategy that a coach will give you, is you want to look at your goals. What is it that you want to accomplish? Then you want to look at your current financial situation, and then you want to put a plan in place to get there. Does that mean, if you want to buy a house, and I don't care how great the market is right now, is this the right time? So let's lay out your financial picture. Do you want to invest now? Do you need to save? Do you need to put investment off for a while to pay it on high interest debt? Those are some of the things that you have to consider before you decide, what to do. Because investment might not be for you right now. Paying down high interest credit cards might be what you need to do right now. So what I do is I give advice, I give guidance based on your current picture, and then I give you options. And then once you look at it, I help you make the decision. And once you make the decision, then I guide you along the road to that goal that you want.
And that's very empowering, actually, because it puts your clients in the position of, okay, I can choose to do this. I'm not, paying down my credit card because someone's telling me to. I'm doing it because I have chosen that road. And there's someone there beside me, like, cheering me on and helping me on my way as well, which is, it's always nice, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Because when you take ownership for it, then you're doing it because you want to do it. This is the way you want to do it. And you're taking ownership of it. And it's not somebody telling you, as you said, you need to pay it on your credit cards. It's in my best interest to pay my credit cards now because of the big picture of what I'm seeing.
Because there's a lot of us who'll be here, you've got to do this, and just do the opposite, because
because somebody told you.
That's the nature of many of us humans.
Exactly. So over here in America, we found out about this thing called your credit score, which it isn't.
Well, we have credit scores in the UK too,
but it's not so prominent, is it?
It probably means more out here in America.
Yeah, it's a huge thing in America. So how do we improve our credit score?
Well, there are different credit scoring models. There are actually hundreds of credit scoring models. And but the main one that we might want to concentrate on, that a lot of companies use, is FICO. And even FICO has more than one scoring model. So some things are weighed more heavily in that. But let's look at the basics of FICO. And there are 5 areas that make up our credit score. The first one is on-time payments, and that's 35% of your FICO score. So that carries a big weight. So of course, if you miss a payment, it's more difficult to recover from that, because that stays on your credit report for statutorily, I think 7 years. But you can work with your creditor to have them remove it before. So 35% of your FICO score is on-time payments. 30% is credit utilization. So if you have a card that's $1,000 and you're spending $900, and I'm going to talk about timing on that too, $900, then you're using 90% of your card. And that's going to really, really impact your credit score in a negative way. So between those two, that's 65% of your credit score, on-time payments and how you use your credit. And so you want to make sure for those 2 big ones that you try to stay on point. And if you have to miss payments, work really diligently with your creditor to not maybe have it reported, let them show you some kind of leniency. Now, for the utilization, I did mention timing. For a credit card, let's say your credit is your credit cutoff date is, say, February 5th. That's when the credit bureau, your credit card company reports to the credit bureau. Anytime you get a statement, it's going to have a statement date or a cutoff date. That's when they report. So that's how you want to manage your balance. You want to make sure on that reporting date, when you know they're going to report about the 5th, 6th, 4th, 5th, 6th, you want to make sure that your utilization is as low as you can get it, even 0 on that day. So even if you use your card during the month and you use a full $1,000, that's perfectly okay. As long as you pay it down by the cutoff date or the date when it's going to be reported. Now, the payment date is typically 25 days after. So the cutoff date is February 5th. That date, that money, whatever is on the card, is sent to the credit bureau, but you're not required to pay until March, maybe say March 3rd is when you're required to pay. But you don't want to let them report $1,000 utilization, even though you're going to pay it by the payment date. You don't want to do that. So you want to pay before the report date. Use it as much as you want during that time, because March 6th is when they're going to report the new amount. So between February 6th and March 6th, use it as much as you want. Pay it before March 6th, before they report again. And then, so you're pretty much ignoring the payment date is what you're doing. You're just
if you've set it up to pay automatically, each month, does that take into account that it's paid in time to not negatively affect your credit score?
Well, the thing is, you're paying on time, but the reporting date is what matters. Because even though you're paying on time, they've already reported that you use 80% of your card.
Oh my gosh, I bet so many people don't know that.
I didn't know that. I can tell you, I'm one of them.
Yeah, so your on-time payment, the 35% part, is covered if you pay on time. But the 30%, which is the utilization that's being reported, is dinged because you're using such a high amount. So even though it's $1,000 card and you charge $800, they report $800 at 80%. You're like, oh, that's not good. So your on time, your utilization is dinged, even though you're paying on time. So you want to manage both.
Is it good to have a higher credit a limit on your card so that you hopefully don't go anywhere near that for this utilization score if you miss the reporting date?
Yeah, it's good to have a low. You really want to keep your utilization. The conventional wisdom is 30%, but you really want to keep it below 10%. Because whatever the limit, whatever your denominator is, you want to just make sure that whatever you use is 10% of that. Right. If it's being reported, if you have to report a balance, you want to make sure it's very low, 10% or lower.
Yeah.
Because then that 30% utilization is not going to negatively impact you as much.
Right.
So I don't set up my credit cards on an automatic payment because I pay them before the reporting date. Right. So when it reports, it's going to say 0 balance. But they don't know that even if I maxed it out, they don't know that I maxed it out because all that's reporting is 0%. Or sometimes I leave like $10 or something on there just to have an amount report, but you don't really have to. It's just me doing that. But you really want to pay that cutoff date. You really want to watch that. You want to call your credit card company and find out, or look at your old statements and see when is my statement generated each month. They're generated between the 4th and the 6th, and you want to pay before that day. So that when they send you that statement, the balance is really, really low.
It's a shame they can't just automatically do that for you and be kind, isn't it?
Oh no, they are in the business of making whatever they can off of you.
I was going to say that's probably true. Why it's done that way, isn't it?
Kind is not a word used in the
Yeah, and then the other 3 parts of the score is 15% is your length of credit history. And what a lot of people don't understand is the more credit you apply, the lower your history is going to be. So let's say you have a card, you've had it for 10 years, and you apply for a new card. So now it's 10 plus 1 divided by 2. So that 10-year history is now 5.5. And if you add, 2 cards in 1 year, so you have 10 plus 11 plus 1 plus 12 divided by 3. So that's now your length of credit history. So you have to be kind of strategic when you apply for credit, because it's going to take a while for your length of credit history to go back up, because it takes a number of cards you have, and it divides that by the number of years that you've had your cards, and it divided by the number of cards to get your length of credit history.
Right. The difficult thing is when you move to, say, the US, and you haven't got any credit history, because they don't seem to take into account anything that you've done in another country. It's hard, isn't it, to sort of build up a credit score?
Are you speaking from experience?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I guess I can speak from experience too, because I came here from Jamaica, and I had to understand what credit is, because I remember my first apartment. I think I had gotten I was in a bad car wreck, and I gotten a settlement, and I think I had maybe like $200 and something thousand in my account. And I went to my friend and said, you need let me go with you to help you get an apartment. And I went to get the apartment. I was turned down, and I couldn't figure it out, because I had lots of money to cover this apartment, but I had no credit history. And of course, at the time, I didn't know how to negotiate that, to say, hey, I'm new to the country. I didn't know how to, because you can always negotiate anything. Anything is negotiable. And I just didn't know how they were looking at my credit score, what that even meant to be able to negotiate. But it's tough.
And that's the other reason I love your channel, because there are, things that are different, in different countries. And I came here knowing pretty much nothing. Fortunately, I married an accountant, but, I'd still like to know at least what the situation is here, because it's so different. Things like pensions, investments, credit scores,
Yeah. Money, it's all different.
Even just transferring money.
I know. It takes a bit of learning, doesn't it, when you come from a different country?
And it's not taught in school, unfortunately. I mean, there's a push to bring more personal finance education, because there are adults who don't even know how to balance a checkbook. And before I even go into that, let me just wrap up the other two. 10% of your score is inquiries, and 10% is credit mix. So the inquiries is how much credit, how many times have you gone and looked for credit? Ideally, you don't want to look for new credit for more than two new credit inquiries. You don't want to ask for credit more than twice. You don't want more than 2 to report on your credit score. Anything over that, you're dinged more, you're penalized more. Now, hard inquiries stay on your credit report for 2 years. So, keeping that in mind. So if you're buying a car and you say, okay, in 2021, I'm going to buy a car, so I'm going to be looking for funding. And then maybe the next thing you buy is maybe 2023, because by then the hard inquiry for the car will fall off. And another thing too, when you're doing inquiries, if you're looking for financing for your car, you want to try to do that in a 14-day period. So you might go to your credit union, then you go to the bank, then you go to somebody online. You want to do that in a compressed time period, because that's going to count as one inquiry. So you don't want to do, let me look for a car, let me go to my credit union in January. And then you're like, let me wait. And then you go in March to go talk to, the bank. And then you go another 2 months, and then you go talk to somebody else about, so each one of those is going to be dinging you. So if you want to talk to more than one person to find out your best rate, you want to do it in the same, in a 2-week period, because it only counts against you once.
Okay,
Oh, that's
good to know.
Yeah, fantastic.
I saw Angela says in the chat, the dreaded credit score.
Yeah.
And I think I just wanted to touch on that because I have the same feeling. And
Yeah.
you know, I think these things like credit scores and, you know, things like that can make you feel very trapped. And I noticed earlier, Dr. Severine, you used the word freedom to describe how you felt about money. And I think that's quite rare. I don't think a lot of people associate money with freedom, regardless of how much they have. So, I mean, we'll come to everyone else in the chat. Hi, Jarrett, I see you there. Thank you for coming. But I just really quickly want to ask you, like, how did you come to have this mindset about freedom with money, and how can the rest of us who don't think of it in that way do the same?
Well, it happened, it was evolutionary. It wasn't something that happened, like as I said, I came from Jamaica to this country. So I had to learn about money. I talk on my channel about student loans, thinking, okay, I want to take out student loans. And because when I'm done with this nice degree, I'm going to be able to get this lots of money for this nice degree, right? And of course, it doesn't work like that. So eventually, the more I understood about money and how money worked and how I can take control so that money doesn't make decisions for me, but me understanding money, I can know how to make the best decision. Then the more freedom it gave me, because it's not because I had more money, but I understood money more. I understood what money could do for me. I understood what having money, I understood, like on-time payments and utilization, all this stuff. I didn't know any of this because, if I had a credit card with somebody and they ticked me off, I just shut the credit card down, and I didn't understand. I didn't understand, how not closing you don't have to use the card. You just need to, use it occasionally and pay it down. So the credit history stays. And, the older card, because I had a card with a company, a department store, and they ticked me off and I closed the card because, and I didn't understand how that impacts. So the more I understood about FICO and debt and all of that, the more freedom it gave me to know how to maneuver in the world of money. And going back to debt, one point I wanted to make is, people say, oh, debt is bad, you don't want to have debt. Money is a tool. Debt is a tool. And which millionaire uses their own money to fund their ventures? Very seldom you're going to find that. Organizations, big companies, they don't use their own money to finance things. They use debt. But it's a matter of knowing how to use the debt so that it benefits you. And that's what, that's the message I want to get with my channel is it's not that you have the debt. It's not that you have the student loans. It's not that you have all those things. Yes, you make some financial mistakes. Who doesn't? Who hasn't? It's how do you now maneuver? How do you make that work for you? And that's where freedom comes in. Having the tools, knowing the information as to how to maneuver. So you can use other people's money, they call it OPM, to do your business. Like if you want to, purchase something for your business, use a credit card if you don't have the cash, but you use it in a smart way so that you pay it off before they report it and you do what you need to do. If you know you have maybe a customer who is going to pay you money to do a certain job, maybe do a wedding or whatever, and you're getting paid for that. And you don't have the money to buy the ingredients or the things you need to do. What are you going to do? Say, oh, well, I don't have it, so I can't take this job. No, you try to use credit smartly to be able to generate revenue. And so I know, again, some personal finance people say no debt, but those people that are telling you no debt, they got where they are not by using their own money. Okay. Right. So they didn't get where they are by using their own money. So it's about being smart about how to use finance. use money just like the Bill Gates and all those people. How did they use other people's money to get to where they are? Whether it's your family money or the bank's money, there are ways to be strategic, and that will give you freedom to know how to maneuver and, you know, how much debt to take on, when to take on debt, you know, that sort of thing. The more you know, the more freedom you have. Think about your job. I mean, I love using the job. When you first went to the job, even though you had a degree or you had some knowledge, the more training they gave you and the more you did on that job, the freer you became, because you had knowledge. You had knowledge about how to maneuver, how to play the office politics, how to do all these things. The more you learn about all those things, the freer you became in your job. Your first day, you were probably like, really don't want to touch anything. You were kind of, you know,
I need that.
you know, but then as you learn, you became freer. And it's the same with money. You just want to, what do I need to learn today? Don't let it overwhelm you. It's a tool. Don't let it overwhelm you. Just say, okay, for this month, I just need to learn a little bit about my credit score because I'm going to apply for, you know, a loan, or I'm going to buy a car. So let me try to understand the different parts of my credit score. Let me pull my credit report. Let me look at it. Is there anything on there I need to remove? You know, that sort of thing. That's all you need to learn for that time. Then you want to look at maybe investments. You know, let me learn a little bit about that, but then I'm going to have to talk to a personal financial, you know, planner as to how to do that, or talk to my company financial planner person, you know, whoever manages your 401k or whatever. You have a little bit of knowledge, and then you can go to them and you can talk intelligently about what it is that you want. And that's really where freedom comes in.
That's really good advice, because A, it's overwhelming sometimes, and B, it's the fear, isn't it? And I guess if you've got that freedom, you've got the confidence, and the fear will go, because you'll be more happy that you've made the right decisions, and that something that you're doing the right thing with about your finances, and that, you know, you're not just thinking, oh God, everything's getting on top of me, I'll just leave that.
It's so easy to just think, oh, I'll ignore it.
I'll
go
away. I won't look at my bank account today. I'll do that tomorrow or the next day.
I actually had a friend who I was trying to help her, and she's like, I don't want to know. If you know, even if it's bad, then you can know, okay, I can't handle this. Bankruptcy is my option. But at least you get your options now, because you know it's really bad, or it's really bad, but I can put these things in place to eventually get where I need to go. Because you know, my personal model and my business model is anything is possible with a plan. Anything is possible with a plan. I had a negative net worth after I got my divorce, and now I have a positive 6-figure net worth. And it's not because I did anything really extravagant. I just learned how to put the things I know into place to rebuild myself after my divorce. So anything is possible with a plan. I mean, you look at all those people out there who you know, had student loans, they were able to pay it off, they did all these things. They just put a plan in place. That's all it takes. And my plan might not fit your lifestyle. Your plan may not fit my lifestyle, and it's perfectly fine. There is no, in personal finance, there is no cookie cutter answer. And again, you want me to jump back on my soapbox? Don't let anybody put you in a box and say, this is what you need to do. This is what you have to do. It all depends on what your goals are now, and what situation are you in, and how can you maneuver that situation to get to where you need to go. And it may mean, right now, it may mean, you know, no trips for the next 2 years, or it may mean taking a, you know, what they call staycation instead of traveling abroad, or, you know, just it all depends. And you may just want to say, you know, my job is high pressured, I need to get away. And that's fine if that's what you need to do, even though your finances are not in the place where you would want it to be. That's perfectly fine. And I know I'm being passionate, but that's just
no, it's great.
It's really
I love that you're passionate. And you know, you just got such great advice, and you make it so accessible and easy to understand. And
there's this idea as well, isn't there, that you kind of need money to make money kind of thing, but like you give the hope to people who maybe feel hopeless, like all I need to do is just put in place a plan and I can do it, you know. And it might take longer, but like you can get there. And I think that's really good. I love that message that you're spreading, because I think money can make us feel so stagnant and stuck sometimes.
Yeah, and the news doesn't help. You know, it's this, they push all these theories, and every year there's a new theory and a new this, and what you should be doing, and what you should be doing at 20, what you should be doing at 30, what you should be doing at 40. You know, like we're all cooking, you know, like we're all rubber stamped, you know, coming off assembly line. You know, the same. No, we're not. We're different. We're all different. And for me, what I want retirement to look like might not be what somebody else want retirement to look like. So, you know, yes, you want to have a little bit of money saved for retirement, but for some people, like for me, I'll never stop working. And that doesn't mean I'll work for corporations. It just means I always work for myself. Personal finance is something that I will be doing until I can't do it anymore. And it's not my first, it's not my job, so to speak. My job, I'm an accountant by trade, but I'm not going to be working for somebody for the rest of my life. I'm doing certifications and other things because my retirement job is personal finance full-time. I'll be doing this full-time because I see so many people, they need help. I mean, it's crazy, the things that are going on in the world. And my heart as an empath, I have to be careful to protect it because I want to help everybody and I can't. But the way I can help is this way, with education, coaching, with, you know, being able to take somebody and having them look at their credit report and say, hey, if you do this, these 3 simple things can soar your credit just like that. And seeing the light go off in their eyes, it's just so rewarding.
That's fantastic. That's one of the things I was going to ask you. You know, how do you sort of interact with your viewers on YouTube? And you've just answered that. You know, that contact and that feeling of helping people and interacting with people is so important, isn't it? It's not like that you're sitting there and putting your video out and just preaching. It's you're actually, you know, helping people, you know, supporting them.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Dr. Severine does a lot of lives. So it's very interactive. You can go along to the lives and ask your questions there as well. I know, are you going live later today, Dr. Severine?
Yes, I'm actually having a guest. She's going to be talking about how to purchase a hotel. She actually... she was part of a group that purchased a hotel. So she's going to be talking about that. And then she's also going to be talking about life insurance, you know, how you can use life insurance to protect your assets. So that's what we're going to be talking about at 4:30 today. Yeah.
That sounds interesting too.
Yeah.
And I also have a private, you know, if I have a link in my videos, if somebody wants to talk, you know, one-on-one, they can make an appointment to do that. And
that's
we can
fantastic.
Yeah, so we've got a link to Dr. Severine's channel in the description, like I said earlier, and then that link is on your videos too. It's up to you, but if you like, we can also put that in our description as well, so people can find it easily from this video. In the future, if they're watching the replay or something like that. Let's see. Angela says, I got on all automatic payments. It has changed my life. I do have a car and house manual payments. I learned about that utilization rate 2 years ago. It's amazing what I keep learning. And then she says, Dr. Bryan's channel is a fantastic place to learn. She has opened my eyes to new ideas. Yes, likewise.
Yes.
Yeah, we're big fans over here.
Yes.
And Jared says, it's nice learning how all this works. Yeah,
and even with the automatic payments, you know, it's not that it's bad. It's just you have to know how to set it up. If you're a you have high utilization on your credit card, automatic payment is not the best way, because you know, again, that high utilization is going to be reported. And it might be negated by the on-time payments, because it's, 35% of on-time payment, high utilization, but I just don't want to take that chance.
Yeah.
So, there are a few things that I set up for automatic payments, like my auto insurance and my life insurance and my disability insurance. I set those up for automatic payments, but for the credit card, I'm like, no, I want to control that because of that reporting. Because there are times when I use high utilization to do something because I want the points. I want the cash back on the card.
Yes.
And it's just, I want to use it, all of it to get the cash back and then pay it off before they report that high utilization.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, I've definitely learned such a lot already.
Yeah. Angela says, Dr. Bryan had good advice to call your car companies and ask for an increase in limit, which lowers your credit utilization rate.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go, everyone.
Yeah. So if you've maxed out your card and you want, well, not really maxed, because they won't give you, the higher utilization. I mean, the higher amount if it's maxed out. Right. But if you've been, faithful and paying your cards on time and all of that, and you feel like a higher denominator is going to help you, then by no means, all they can do is say no. Ask.
Yeah, I sometimes think, because my credit card company keeps sending me stuff like, upgrade, and I keep thinking, oh, they just want me to get into debt. But actually they're doing me a favor, aren't they?
Yeah, because there are times you never know when you might need it you might need to use a card to do something, and it gives you that room to use it.
Yeah.
And then you quickly pay it off. Because there are times when I this company that I talked about, this department store, I would charge something at one register and pay it at the other register. Because I wanted the discount or whatever it is they are giving me if I use my card, and I had the cash, but I didn't. I wanted the discount, so I used it, and then I went to pay at the other register. So it's just knowing how to.
Oh, I bet they loved you.
I always say my credit card companies don't like me at all because I refuse to give them interest. I refuse. Years ago they got all my money, and then now I'm like, I refuse to pay interest on anything.
Yeah,
love it.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Brilliant. Yes, it's just knowing how to work the system a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's see, where did I get to? Yeah, thank you, everyone. It's been great in the chat today. Let's see, where did I get to, Mum? Sorry, everyone. Great point about new credit, says Angela. I have been doing good then, keeping my old cards and not getting new ones. Yes. Financial freedom is my goal. I'm always working on it. And Angela says, I love this interview.
Thank you,
Angela. Garrett says, I'm getting such good advice from this interview. Really like it. Yeah, and if you have a question you want to ask, feel free to pop it in the chat now. Yeah. And Angela says, Dr. Bryan's channel is amazing, guys. Go check out her channel. Go check her channel out. Her videos are just like this, full of rich content.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And how do you actually plan your content? Do you sometimes see things, I don't know, on TV, or you read something, you think, oh, yes, I need to talk about that? Or sometimes do your viewers ask you things and you think, yes, I'm going to cover that? How do you sort of decide on your subject matter for your videos?
Actually, it's a combination of all three. I have a content calendar in Google. I got it from a guy named Pat Flynn, and he's pretty much, you guys should check him out. He does a live every day, and he's doing it. He started last year, and he's doing it for 365 days, and he shares a lot of great information. And his website is called Smart Passive Income, I think it's called. But anyway, he gave me this content calendar, and on it, you can plan out your content, your who you're inviting, all of your their contact information, and you have it there with keywords. So if you want to go back at any time, it's like a library. And I do that.
We're
but then
excited about that, aren't we? Can you see our little faces?
Yeah, I am. I will send you the link to it in your in the Facebook link. I can send that to you directly.
We'll pop that in the description.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
We'd love that.
Yeah. So it it helps because I have one for my one tab for my podcast, one tab for YouTube, and then one tab for when I'm invited to speak somewhere. So that way I have all my information planned out at a glance. I can see, what is going to come up. But then sometimes something happens, like last year when they had a change in the 1040 form, the tax form. I did a live on that to talk about it. I didn't do one this year because they're still changing, they're still evolving. And I'm like, I don't want to touch it because I don't do file tax returns for people anymore, except for me, my mom, and my daughter. And so I didn't want to touch that. But, if a topic comes up, like, for example, student loans being suspended again, now I want to talk about that and show people how they can use this time to pay down high interest debt. And, you can still pay your student loans if you want, but you can pay other things first because you want to pay down high interest debt before you think about investing, that sort of thing. So I do plan ahead. And then I also look at what's going on that people might want to talk about. And then, somebody might say, hey, can you talk about Social Security? Because I know Angela asked me a while ago to talk about IRAs. It's still on my list. I haven't done it yet. It's still on my list to do. But I'm going to bring somebody in to talk about overall 401ks, IRAs, HSA, which is a health savings plan, FSA, how those work, how you can use an HSA to save money. So different things like that. It's on the list to do. And then somebody wanted me to talk about Social Security. So I'm going to be bringing somebody in to talk because that's not my lane. So I know the breadth of it, but I don't know the depth.
Yeah.
So when there's a topic that I know the breadth, but not the depth, I'll bring somebody in.
Yeah, that's really good. You do that a lot, have a guest who's a specialist in that particular subject.
Yeah, you have the most amazing guests. You really do.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a combination of all of those to determine, what am I going to talk about?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I think you have to be super organized, don't you, when you're not just for financial planning, but for running a YouTube or for any business or event. You have to plan and you have to make sure that you have all your salient points available and set your goals, and
especially for the channel you were just talking about, who's going live every day. Like, you have to make sure you have enough to talk about.
What he does is he does some topics, like on Fridays he does games. So every Friday is gonna be games, and then on Saturday, and then on Sunday what he does is he reviews YouTube channels and websites. On him too. He actually reviewed my website and my YouTube channel and gave me some tips of things that I can do. Nice. So he did it. Gave really some really great tips and that I've put in place. Some of them I'm still working on putting in place. So he provides a lot of great value, and some things he may talk about, like how to do a podcast, or how to get people on your email list, or just really great business tips that he gave that's really practical. And so if anybody wants to really learn, I think they should jump on there. And I mean, he changes his time each day because he has a business that he's running. But some days, maybe 9 o'clock in the morning, maybe 11 o'clock, sometimes it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Yeah, you just have to kind of follow along to see when he does it. But you really, if you join him, you learn a lot.
Oh, we're definitely going to check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to say that next week, our special guest is Eleanor. Eleanor elaborates, and she's a very young woman, and her channel is about a whole host of things. She has done a TED Talk. She, which is amazing. She does song covers. She does travel vlog. She does like a diary vlog. She does food, sort of recipes with a mom, and amazing young woman. So please check her out next week at the same time. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so let's do another check-in with the chat, because Angela says we have a calendar too. It really helps us keep on track. Yeah, we have like a little
basic calendar, don't we? Which we always and
yeah.
Google Docs we use a lot.
Yeah, you need something.
Yeah.
Otherwise you'd wake up and you think, oh my God, I haven't got a video.
Yeah.
And Angela says, yes, I want to know about IRAs.
Yeah.
Still working on Jeff to do a live stream. I think people would love it. Jeff, if you're listening, we would come along.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's scary at first, but you know, once you're on and you get involved in it, you just forget all that. And it's yeah. Do you agree? Because
I certainly do. Yeah. I remember my first one for 5 minutes. I was not in the stream at all, and I was like, "How do I get myself in there?" It was a black screen. What do I do? I'm not pushing the right button. What do I put? For 5 minutes, it was like that.
I don't know, but it felt like 5 hours.
Dreaded technical issues.
Yeah.
I know. We made sure our very first guest when we went live was Kasie, because she goes live on Zoom all the time, and we're like, we want her, because if it goes wrong,
if it goes wrong, it's like, Kasie,
she'll be able to help us out. But please, Jeff, that would be really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, if you have a question for Dr. Severine, pop it in the chat now and we'll get to you shortly, but I'll ask her the question that we ask all our guests at the end of the interview, which is particularly YouTube related. If you could boil down everything that you've learned on your YouTube journey so far into a piece of advice for someone who's maybe just starting a YouTube channel or thinking about starting a YouTube channel, what advice could you give someone to kind of send them on their way?
There are actually 3 points that I can think of that I would say is, first of all, be authentic. Whatever you do, whatever your channel is about, be authentic. Don't try to be the next Kasie Neistat or the next Mr. Beast. Be you. And run your own race. Don't be concerned with even somebody's in your niche and they started after you and they are already monetized. Don't be concerned about that. Run your own race, because it's easy to get sidetracked, and then you're thinking, okay, this is what they're doing and it's working, so let me try to do that.
And
it might not work. Yes. So be authentic, run your own race, and create goals that you can control. You can't control the YouTube algorithm. You can't control how YouTube pushes out your video, but you can control how often you upload. You can control, the what kind of content you upload. You can control the quality of your videos. That's what you can control. So work on the things that you can control, and the things that YouTube control, let YouTube control those, and don't stress over that. And don't get caught up in the vanity metrics like, oh, I only have 500. If your goal is monetization, you can be monetized with 500 people, meaning you can make money, not monetizing in terms of YouTube, but you can still make money. So be authentic, run your own race, and create goals that you can control. Focus on improving the areas that will allow you to make those goals, and don't worry about anything else, and everything else will eventually come.
That's great advice. Yeah, absolutely perfect.
And I think we needed to hear that a little bit, because we were saying, how can we, you always want things to move faster, and it's just not about that. It's about producing the content that you're proud of, that feels like you, that you want to put out there. That's why we started this.
Yeah.
So it's really important, I think, to just refocus.
You're telling yourself this, Lucy, aren't you?
You always have to remember your why, because it's easy in everything in life. It's so easy to be sidetracked by how are they doing that?
Yeah.
Content is not that good, and they have 10,000. They have 10,000 people watching somebody scratching somebody's back.
It's hard not to do that, isn't it?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you just have to, because to me, it's longevity is building slowly, right?
Yes.
Because how much longer is somebody going to watch somebody scratching somebody's back?
Yeah, that is very true, isn't it? Yeah. You don't want people to sort of get excited about you and then go, oh, was that it?
What else do they do aside from back scratching? Yeah. And we've had this conversation with guests before, and I think it's an important one. Like, would you rather like be this channel that blows up overnight, but then you haven't built that foundation that you need to. You haven't learned how to produce regular content that people found interesting. You haven't connected with your subscribers yet. You haven't done all those things which you can do if you're a channel that builds more slowly. So I mean, whilst it would be lovely to get a lot of views, it's also, there's something to be said for that process, the journey of it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah.
Angela says authenticity is so important. Do your own thing. Well said.
Yes.
Oh, and Eleanor, our guest next week has arrived.
Yeah, we've given you a shout out, Eleanor. We look forward to
we're
it
excited to talk to you
next week on Valentine's Day.
Yes.
So please join us next week. Check out Eleanor's channel too. And well, all that's left for us to do is thank everyone in the chat for coming along, everyone who's going to watch it after it's on record, and especially to you, Dr. Severine Bryan, for joining us and being such a wonderful, fascinating, interesting guest to listen to.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
Us
good.
too.
Yes,
We've
did
learned
too.
such a lot. Thank you so much. Take care, and we'll connect with you again soon, I'm very sure. Okay, bye,
Alrighty.
everyone.
Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.